It was pretty good. Is it recording now?
Hey guys, it's AJ.
And Quinn.
And today we're going to be going over variables.
Oh, exciting. I can't wait.
So Quinn, do you have any questions about variables?
No, but I'm sure I'm going to have very many. Actually, I do have one question about variables. What can I write?
So, are you asking what is a variable, Quinn?
That's exactly my question.
Well, great question, Quinn. A variable is something that stores information.
Okay.
Now, guess what? You don't know it, but you've learned variables before.
Okay.
Remember when you were in math class and you had to solve for x all the time and you hated x, and then you had to solve for z, for y, and z, and then math started getting really complicated.
Yeah.
You probably stopped. I stopped liking math.
I ran out of letters to write out.
When math started, having fun with the alphabet, it was not fun anymore. Math wasn't my favorite subject. But that's what variables are. Variables are things that store information. Okay. Now, in a lot of programming languages, one being C++, you need to tell C++ what type of information your variable is storing.
Okay.
Do you know what types of variables there are, Quinn?
Like 3?
Do you know any?
I think there's int.
Ooh,
right?
int. Yeah. So first I start out with my variable name. Called
nice.
integer. And then I want to give it a name.
Okay.
I can name it anything.
Wait, I have a question. Why is there a red line under it?
Why is there a red line? That's a good question, Quinn. Well, the reason because I don't call it integer in C++ and other languages. I call it int for short because programmers hate writing it out long, and the guy who invented it decided to call it int.
Okay.
So I'm going to call it int x.
Okay.
Now, if you'll notice, there's another red line under int x. Do you know why, Quinn?
Not really.
Well, let's say I just try to run this code anyway, because that sounds like a good idea.
All the time.
Oh no, build failed.
Why was that?
Well, the reason because I forgot a semicolon. I need a semicolon because the computer or compiler processes each command looking for a semicolon. So for instance, I don't need my commands to be on the same line. I just need a semicolon.
So is a semicolon like a period at the end of a sentence?
Oh my god, Quinn, you're totally getting this. It's like a period. And then so the next sentence is starting a whole new sentence. So for instance, this code will also compile and run. I hope. Gulp. Hey, look. It did compile because the semicolon was there. We're going to actually make this readable now.
So what does x equal?
Well, right now, x doesn't really equal anything, Quinn.
Okay.
So what about we set x equal to something? How do you think you would do that? How would you do that in math?
Use the two lines?
The two lines?
The equal sign.
You mean an equal sign. So like x equals 5?
Yeah. That looks
okay,
good.
Cool. I guess I'll just try running it and see if it prints out. Oh, it failed.
No.
You know why? It's because I forgot another semicolon. My bad. But seriously, guys, don't forget semicolons.
It's okay.
Okay, so now that we've got an int x and we've assigned it to a value of 5.
Can we make another?
One second, Quinn. You're getting a little bit too ahead. I need to explain what an integer is first.
Oh.
Do you know what an integer is?
No.
Well, an integer, like you learned, is just what you learned in math. An integer is a rounded number, like 0, 1, 2, or 3, that represents a solid number. So an integer can't be, for example, 5.5. But it can be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and it can also represent negative numbers, like I just showed. I just signed x to negative 5, which you just put a minus sign next to it.
Ah.
So now let's declare some other integers, Quinn.
Okay. How about Miley Cyrus?
That sounds good. She's been in the news a lot lately.
Okay.
And you want to make another integer?
Let's do it.
What about we make integer sum? We make another integer called sum of the 2 data types. And we'll sign that again. Now again, do Miley Cyrus and sum of 2 data types have any value, Quinn?
I don't think so. No.
They don't, because we haven't assigned them like we did in line 19 right here. So let's assign Miley Cyrus to a variable. Wow, Miley Cyrus is really long to write out. If I have to write that out a few more times, I may just get really annoyed. So luckily, Netbeans, our IDE, our Interactive Development Environment, it stands for, has a little shortcut. I can press Control Space, and look, it auto-completed Miley Cyrus for me. All I have to do is press Enter, and boom, I don't even have to type it.
Oh my god, does Microsoft Word do that?
I wish. So I'm going to assign it to 980 and put a semicolon.
Aha, nice.
Don't forget that. So let's say I want to assign sum of 3 variables to a value. Let me just press Control Space.
Okay.
And do this. And let me assign that equal to, let's assign it to, how can we assign it to the value of Miley Cyrus and X? Is that possible, you think? To assign a variable to another variable?
Maybe. Let's try.
Let's try. So let me do Miley Cyrus plus X. And let me do it with my semicolon. Let me try running this code here.
So exciting. And
And the code compiled. But as you can see, if you've been a really good detective, you can see I have an error here. I have Miley Cyrus minus 981. I am not 981. Sorry, I'm not actually assigning Miley Cyrus to a value of 981. What I'm doing here is I'm just going Miley Cyrus minus 981. Now you would think maybe that assigns Miley Cyrus to whatever Miley Cyrus the old edition was minus 981, but actually I'm not doing anything because what I need to do is I always need to assign a value to something. So I always want this equal sign on the left side and then my operation on the right side like I have down here. Are you understanding this, Quinn?
yeah, so I have a question. I know about ints. I also know about floats and doubles.
Floats and doubles?
What if we changed one of the ints to a different data type?
Whoa, that's pretty dangerous.
Okay.
But let's try it.
Okay.
So what were you saying? You were saying you knew about the double type?
Yeah, the double type.
Okay, the double type. Now the double type. So we learned that ints can only represent regular numbers such as 1, 2, 3, 4. But what if I wanted to represent 2.5?
Or 3.14?
Or pi? Ooh, good question.
yeah.
Is that possible in programming?
Dude, let's just go for it.
The answer is yes, guys and gals. So I'm now going to make Miley Cyrus a double. And so now instead of 891, let's make it 9.8. Wow, that sounds like the acceleration of gravity constant. Sweet.
Okay.
So what happens if I add a double and an int? Do you think that would be an error, Quinn?
I don't know. Let's print it out and see.
Let's print it out. So I'm going to print out, I'm going to use cout like you guys have seen before. And I'm going to print out sum of 2 data types. And instead of typing that, I'm going to press Control Space, press S so it auto-completes for me. And it says, hey, the only variable you have named S is sum of 2 degrees. I'm going to press Enter. And then I'm going to do an end L. I don't need to, but, it just looks pretty. And don't we like making code look pretty, Quinn?
Always. Always. I love that sexy code.
So, first of all, before I show you guys this code, what do you think you'll get? I have -5 and I have 9.8. So what's -5 plus 9.8? I think it's 4.8.
I would agree.
But in the console, I get 4. Now, holy gee whiz, Batman! Why did I get 4? Do you know?
Very good question.
Well, here's what happened. Since a double is more precise than an integer, a double can have decimal points. So obviously, a double is 4.1. Or 4 can represent 4.001. An integer can only represent 4. So a double is more precise. So when I add a double and int, by default, it gets it gets converted into the lesser precise type. And which one is the lesser precise type, Quinn? A double or an int?
I would have to say int.
So an int. So what happens is, so even though the answer in all mathematical sense would be 4.8, what happens is the decimal gets completely cut off. There's no rounding in math. The decimal just gets cut off because what it says, it's converting to int. There's no rounding of any kinds. So even if it's 4.999, it will be converted to 4. And that is because it wants to be an int. It just chops off the decimal and says, make me an int, and prints out.
Cool.
Okay. So, do you have any other questions, Quinn?
I wonder how Miley Cyrus is doing.
Okay. Well, let me show you guys. Let me also show you a shortcut. So let's say, right now my code looks pretty good, but let's say I just start typing really badly or something like this, or my variables kind of get out of whack from my spacing being terrible. Do you think there's maybe there's a way to instantly make the code go back to the way it was, or auto format it? Well, the easy way to do that is to go Shift Alt F. And that will put all my code. Do you see how it's now nicely indented, Quinn?
Yeah, but I like having trouble reading my code. Okay, that was great. That was actually a good shortcut. Nice.
So, yeah, so remember, Control Space, and I think on the Mac, hopefully, it's the same shortcut. If not, you can try Googling it. I hope so. It should be Command Space or Control Space. And Control Shift F or Command Shift F. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll see you later.
I just want to say I love how you talk to me in a demeaning tone.